Recognition, power, and influence is your birthright, and this podcast shows you how to get there. Welcome to episode number 262. Today is the first episode of 2025, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about New Year's resolutions and how oftentimes when we're taking steps towards those New Year's resolutions, we are unwilling to take the actions needed to get there because we think that they're not good enough, that they're a little too small, that they're actually not going to help us get closer to our goals. And today's episode, I'm going to break down my personal process and my thinking around big goals and those tiny steps that you can begin taking today that are going to actually get you closer to that goal. And when you look back at the end of the year, I want you to be able to say that you do have that recognition, power, and influence that you deserve. So the only way we're going to do that is by taking some steps towards that goal. So listen to today's episode if you need a bit of motivation, or perhaps you feel like your dreams are so big and you're probably never going to reach them anyway. All right, let's get started.
Welcome to Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and I teach you how to get promoted, get paid, and bring your whole self to the leadership table. I am on a mission to change organizations from the C-suite out because women are the new face of leadership, and we are doing it on our terms.
Hello, corporate badasses. Welcome to another episode of Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and super excited, as always, to be here with you again this week. Welcome to the year 2025. I can't help but think about, as I enter into 2025, what I want to improve upon this year. And, I know that there's a lot of talk about New Year's resolutions and how most people give up on them. And then a lot of people have written off New Year's resolutions altogether. But it doesn't go without saying that there is an energetic force pushing you towards thinking about your year from a strategic perspective, thinking about your year from what would I like to improve upon myself? What would I like to do better this year? What would I like to change? What would I like to magnify? What would I like to enhance? Whatever that might be for you, it is inevitable that your brain is going to go there. And I don't think this is a problem at all. The problem is on the other side of things, which is, I think it's the third week in January where it's called Quitter's Day and everybody gives up on their New Year's resolutions and they say, oh, terrible, I did nothing for the first 3 weeks, and they write it off. So most people get confused when they think about New Year's resolutions as I'm not even going to make a New Year's resolution because I know that I'm going to quit on myself. And maybe you're somebody who has had such experience on the other side of beating yourself up and feeling bad about yourself and then looking back on the year and being disappointed that you don't even want to put a New Year's resolution out there because you know that you're probably just going to fail anyway. And this is something that I talk about with my clients a lot as called failing ahead of time. Now, when my clients are failing ahead of time, the first thing you need to know is that they have no idea that they're doing it until I call them on their BS. And I say, look, it sounds like you're failing ahead of time. So essentially, what does failing ahead of time look like? It basically is your inability to truly go for something because you want to manage your emotions ahead of time. So let's say that there is your dream job and you're applying for it and you got to the final round of interviews and they're interviewing 3 candidates in the final round. And you are wanting to keep your hopes up, but you also know that you should also be realistic and that the job might not be yours. There are 2 other candidates. And so you want to just say, well, we'll see what happens, or I did the best that I could. And you mitigate your emotions ahead of time so that you don't feel disappointed when and if you don't get offered the job. Now, here's the caveat about failing ahead of time, which is that you are going to be disappointed, right? Even if you don't get the job, you're going to be disappointed. Now, the only thing that you did save yourself from is actually truly feeling into that dream, that feminine desire, that want of that new role, like really owning that, like seeing what was possible for you in that new role. And if you could truly embody that place, then the universe can't help but say yes to you. It's actually a fact. If you truly live in the place of what's possible and you keep reminding yourself that it's actually possible for me to get this role, then even if you didn't get the role, of course you're going to be disappointed, but you know what you're going to do instead? You're going to go out and find the next one. You're going to be like, okay, I almost got my dream job. Now I'm going to go find my dream job. Like I was so close. Go get it. But when we fail ahead of time, when we tell ourselves that we're not going to succeed in our New Year's resolutions anyway, so why even bother? Then what we're doing is we're not allowing ourselves to dream and to really know what's possible for us. Now, the reason that failing New Year's resolutions is a problem, because honestly, I don't care if my clients get their 3x vision. I know that sounds weird considering that my mission is to double the number of women in the executive suite. And I'm already doing that on a regular basis. And it is so important to me that women actually get promoted, that they actually get recognized, that they actually have a voice at the table. Yet here I am saying, I don't care if you actually get the 3x vision. What I care about is you believing that the 3x vision is possible and you taking action today towards that 3x vision. So let's take your New Year's resolutions as an example. Is you have this New Year's resolution, this hope to lose 20 pounds or perhaps, get that promotion or have more time with your spouse or have more freedom to be able to have your clear mind and not be stressed out all of the time. Okay. So whatever that New Year's resolution might be, I want you to take a moment and really sit with that resolution and to feel it and to really say, okay, what is possible? Why do I want this? Really, truly, take 10 minutes, take some deep breaths, journal about it. I really want you to understand why that dream is possible, because if you want the dream, if it's there, if it popped into your head, then that's because you need it. It's yours. It's available to you. These are your desires. People didn't put this in your head, right? You came up with this idea and it is totally available to you to get that job over those other two candidates. We don't need to fail ahead of time and to say, well, we'll just wait and see. We'll see what happens. All right, now the next part of the New Year's resolution that's a problem when you give up is that you think that it's all or nothing. I did a podcast episode a few weeks ago about the all or nothing mentality and how it's such a problem. And I want to share with you for a moment about my particular journey this past year in 2024. And I had a lot of moments where I worked really, really, really hard, meaning I was tunnel visioned. I think that if you were my client, I would tell you that you were completely in the weeds. You weren't able to pull your head up from your desk. You were hoping for the best. This is how I was last year in several different moments. And I was able to pull myself out of it at different times. But I have to be honest, I did experience bouts with burnout sometimes where I just was like, I can't do this anymore. And by do this, I didn't mean give up or throw in the towel, but I meant I have to go for a walk or I have to do something different because I'm killing myself essentially. And I know you've been there. That's why I feel compelled to share this with you. And so what came as a result of that is I haven't been as in touch with my body as well. So meaning that I've gained weight. I don't feel like I'm exercising as much as I used to. And as a result, I feel like I just kind of randomly eat food. I'll have sugar headaches and coffee headaches and just feel bad in my own skin. And I don't really know how to get out of it. So I just eat some more. I'm sharing this with you because I want you, one, to see that I need to personally practice what I preach. And luckily, I have these tools and I can remind myself of that. And every now and then, my husband will remind you, what would you tell your clients? And I'm like, okay. You got to get out of the weeds, Stacy. You got to pull your head up from your desk and you have to look around and see what's possible. So, my mom has actually been in a weight loss program for the past couple of years. This was something that I recommended to her a couple of years ago. Actually, I had joined it at the time, and then she started listening and she ended up joining it. And it's by Corinne Crabtree and it's called the No BS Weight Loss Course. And at the end of 2024, December 29th, she did and since I've re-signed up for this membership, and it's been a little bit of a journey because I signed up, but I haven't really done anything. And I know for those of you who have worked with me directly and you've experienced the same thing where you sign up for coaching or you sign up for one of my programs and you get very motivated, just like your New Year's resolution, but then nothing comes of it. And that's how it was for me. So I signed up a couple of months ago, but I feel like I haven't really done anything. So I'm falling into that all or nothing mentality, right? I'm falling into that trap. I feel bad about myself. I'm like, why did I sign up for this if I wasn't even going to be able to do the work? Anyway, I didn't even remind myself. So I'm not even going to give myself credit for this one. But on December 29th, she did this like reboot, like revisit your goals or whatever going into 2025. And she talked about doing things that aren't good enough. So she said that in the month of January that she was going to host a not good enough challenge for all of the members. And I was like, oh my God, that is it. This is what I need. And so today's episode is really focused on first, how do you dream? How do you allow yourself not to cut your dreams off, to just say, you know what, that is possible for me. That is possible for me. And take those steps moving towards whatever that bigger vision is, whatever that bigger dream is for you. And then realize that a lot of the action that we're taking or not taking is rooted foundationally in this idea of that action, not being good enough. And so as soon as she said those words, I knew exactly what she meant. This is the all or nothing mentality. If I can't go all in and do 150% of this course, this weight loss course, then I'm not going to do anything. And that is how we're living our lives when it comes to our career growth and our career trajectory, is that we have this all or nothing mentality. And so when she's talking about the January not good enough challenge, what she said is every time you have a thought that whatever action popped into your head. So let's say you wake up in the morning and you're like, I think I'd like to go for a 10-minute walk. And then you're like, you know what? I've got other things to do this morning, and 10 minutes isn't going to really do much when it comes to losing weight. So I'm not going to bother. And so then you don't do it. Or you think, I'm eating this chocolate cake right now and it tastes so good. And I know that I can be fine, be okay if I only eat half. Like I don't need to eat the entire thing. But you know what? I've already eaten half, so I'm just going to keep going. So that's not good enough. So me putting down the fork at the halfway mark is not good enough. So I just eat the whole thing. Or let's look at our career growth when we think, oh, you know what? I really need to schedule a meeting with my boss and talk about my career development, but our career development, no promotions are going to happen until the end of 2025. And so it's not really going to matter if I talk about it now because it's not really good enough. So why even bring it up? Or I want to actually take 10 minutes to map out my career vision strategy and revisit it. I want to look at my career vision roadmap for 10 minutes per month. And I think that would be a great goal. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. I already wrote it down. I don't really actually even have time to do half of the things on that list. So I'm not going to bother with even looking at it, with even reading it. I know that I could, download Stacy's book on Audible, but me listening to the book isn't going to actually create a promotion. I have to actually take action. And right now I don't really have time to take action. So it's not going to be good enough to listen to the book. So I'm just going to not do anything. So these are just some examples. I know that there's a plethora of examples that you probably already have. And what Corinne's challenge is for 2025 is every single time, no matter what it is coming into your head for that month, that says it's not going to be good enough. So you have to first recognize that you even had the idea. I would like to do this. You know what I think could actually be helpful is if I scheduled a meeting with my boss's boss. Now, my boss's boss is out of town, so I'm probably not going to be able to schedule it until February 28th. So let me just wait and see, and then I'll reach out to them again in February and kind of see what happens. Nope. What you're telling yourself is that's not good enough. So you're going to wait and then you're going to see. No, you're going to get on the calendar now for February 28th. So you censor yourself. You say, hey, I had this thought and then I told myself it wasn't good enough, right? It didn't matter to actually get on the calendar ahead of time. So I'm just going to postpone and put it off. So that's an example. And her challenge is that for the month of January that every time you tell yourself an idea, but then you don't follow through with it, chances are really good that you're not following through with it because you feel like it's not enough. And so her challenge is do it anyway. So send the email to schedule the meeting. Make sure that before your next one-on-one with your boss that you actually write down 2 or 3 sentences of how you want to open that meeting a little bit differently so you sound like a more strategic visionary leader in your communication out of the gate. Somebody at the next presentation that you do, somebody that you care about to actually watch your presentation and give you feedback. Now, whether or not you actually do anything with that feedback is fine, right? You don't have to do anything. Create a 3X vision for yourself. Listen to one of my podcasts from 4 years ago and see what that brings up for you. Even if you're not actually able to continue doing anything with it, it is still good enough. Another piece of this puzzle, which I skipped over, is as I started to think about some of these small steps that I could take, at least for weight loss and getting healthier and getting back into my body again, I kept feeling like I was going from 0 to 60. So I felt like I haven't been doing anything. That was actually the word I came up with, is I really haven't done anything and this is terrible. So why bother? Or I had to do 150%. So that's the all or nothing mentality. And instead, what I had to first do is I went through last week and I wrote down all of the things that I did last week for my body. I made a list of all the small things, all the teeny tiny things that I did. And so I want you to do that as well for your career. What are the things that you are doing right now for your career? If you're looking for a new job and you want to leave your company, what are some of the actions that you took last week to go find that job? And the first thing that your brain is going to tell you is nothing. You haven't done anything. But as I really investigated it and I looked at okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know what? There was the time that I only ate half of the chocolate cake, metaphorically. There was a time where I did go for a walk, not by myself, but with my children. That was a way that I got closer and more in touch with my body. When it comes to your career development, I did open up my resume. I found it. I found my old resume on my computer and I opened it up and I looked at it. That is a small step. That is a not good enough step that you took towards your career development. And so what's a second not good enough step? When it comes to your LinkedIn profile, a really easy, not really good enough step that you can do is you can update the header or the cover image or add a new photo to your LinkedIn profile. These are not things that by themselves lead to finding your dream role, but they are good enough. They really are good enough and they start to add up. And when you start stacking these small, good enough things on top of each other, by the end of 2025, you're going to have a pretty darn great year to look back on, right? And the other thing that she talked about is this idea of, what's actually not good enough? Doing nothing. And so when we have that all or nothing mentality, we really are giving up. We really are doing nothing. And so you have to start realizing, okay, what are those things I am doing? And then how can I start building on that? And as you look at your year and your New Year's resolutions, I would love for you to take that big goal, that big vision, And then bring it back down to the small stuff. What are the not good enough things that I can start doing the first week of January? Then when that third week rolls around and you're in the what was the quitting day, National Quitters Day or whatever, and you're feeling like you want to quit, you want to give up, I'm not going to go look for a new job right now. I have to figure out when the timing is better. I'm not going to have that conversation with my boss just yet. I have to wait and see. Then just ask yourself, what is one small, not good enough thing that I can do to keep moving in that small direction? Those things will start to add up. And then you'll start to feel that forward momentum to feel empowered about yourself. Just rereading my list of the things last week that I had actually done motivated me to do a little bit more this week. That's somebody who takes their goals and takes their life very seriously. I know that that's you. I know that you're a high achiever and that you're ready to go out and get the respect that you deserve. I know that you deserve that voice at the table, but sometimes we just got to get over our own crap and do the things that feel small in the moment, but are going to make that huge, huge difference on our year. I wish you all the best in 2025, and I cannot wait to see what your voice looks like and sounds like at that leadership table. You are amazing. I'll see you next week. Bye. Before you go, I have a question for you. Do you know how close you are to your next promotion? Really? Not what your boss has told you, not what you even believe to be true, but have you actually taken the time to sit down, take an assessment, review the 5 categories that it takes to get promoted into senior executive leadership positions and decided where you fall in each category and given yourself a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10 of how close you are to getting your next promotion? Have you done this? Well, now's your chance. If that feels interesting to you and you're like, hey, I want to know exactly how close I might actually be or how far away you might be and what it's going to take to get you even closer, then I invite you to take my promotability quiz. This is a quiz that I put together with practical tips that actually tell you where you're lacking and where you're winning. What are the areas that you actually need to improve and not necessarily what your boss is telling you all the time so that you can take concrete steps towards landing that next promotion and changing the face of the leadership table. Go to yourpromotabilityscore.com to take your free assessment today.